Welcome to the next in our series of video lectures for managerial economics. And this one we're going to be dealing with the Chapter 8 Q&As. This particular video is only going to deal with Q&As 1 through 3. There's going to be a separate video for Q&A 4 for Chapter 8. And we're going to take a look at here at Q&A 8.1, the first Q&A from the chapter. Suppose that the Canadian province of Manitoba imposes a specific per unit tax of T per ton of lime produced in the province. There is only one lime producing firm in Manitoba, so the tax affects only that firm and hence has virtually no effect on the market price. If the tax is imposed, how should the Manitoba firm change its output level to maximize profit, and how does the maximum profit change? I deleted a little bit of the introductory text from this Q&A because it would not fit on one screen, and I had to shrink down the text in order for it to fit, and then I didn't think it looked quite right. So remember, if you take a look at the textbook, they specifically reference that this is a competitive marketplace. So I wanted to make sure I stated that before we moved forward. So let's take a look here. Remember, this is a competitive marketplace. So we're going to have a horizontal demand curve, and price and marginal revenue are going to be equal to one another. And we're going to have our U-shaped average cost curve and our J-shaped marginal cost curve. All right. So before the tax is imposed, what is going to be the profit maximizing output level? It's going to be where MC1 is equal to marginal revenue. So where MC1 intersects marginal revenue, if we go straight down, that will give us Q1. And if we highlight that area right there, that shows us the profits that this firm will have. If we had highlighted this area plus the rectangle down here, that would have been total revenue. The area below here, that isn't highlighted, would have been total cost. So what was left over, this tan shaded area, is going to be the profits. Now we're going to take a look at what happens if this specific per unit tax. When this per unit tax is imposed, this firm is going to see its average cost go up by the tax, and it's going to see its marginal cost increase by the tax. So we're going to have a new average cost curve and a new marginal cost curve. And remember, the textbook reference that this would have no impact on price, so our price equals marginal revenue curve is not going to remain, is going to remain unchanged. So we have a new average cost curve, a new marginal cost curve, and the vertical distance between those two is going to be equal to the tax. So whatever the tax is imposed, the average cost curve is going to shift up the equivalent of that tax, and the same thing is going to occur for marginal cost. So now average cost 2 is just average cost 1 plus the tax, and marginal cost 2 is just marginal cost 1 plus the tax. So now this firm will continue to maximize its profit, so it will produce output where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. If we go straight down from there, that gives us our new output level. And the green shaded area here is now going to be the profits. So you can see the reaction of this firm is, number one, it's going to cut back on its output because its costs increased. And you're going to see that cutting back on its output and having its costs increase is going to cause the profits for this firm to shrink. We now move to Q&A 2 from Chapter 8. If a firm has unavoidable fixed cost of F, how is its producer surplus related to its profits? So you have to remember that profits are revenues minus cost, and remember that cost has two different components. It has variable and fixed costs. So we just inserted that total cost is variable cost plus fixed cost, and we rewrote that, distributing the negative sign all the way through. So profits are equal to revenues minus variable cost minus fixed cost. All right, producer surplus is going to be revenues minus variable cost. All right, so that's as your book defines it. So we can use these two pieces of information, the producer surplus and the profits, to take a look at what the relationship is going to be. So we're going to take producer surplus and subtract profits off of it. So we have producer surplus minus our profits. We know that producer surplus is R minus VC, so we insert that there. And then we subtract off profits, so it's minus what our profits are. We just insert this information here. And if we rewrite that, so we have R minus VC minus R plus VC plus F. And what you should notice is that the R's will cancel out, and so will the VC's. So we get that producer surplus minus profits are going to be equivalent to fixed cost. Also, if you think about this in the long run, all costs are variable, which means fixed costs are equal to 0. So if this is equal to 0, in the long run, producer surplus is going to be exactly equal to profits. We move on to the third Q&A from Chapter 8. We estimated the supply curve for roses, which is the upward sloping line in the given figure. It's going to appear in the next slide. How much producer surplus is lost if the price of roses falls from 30 cents to 21 cents per stem, so that the quantity sold falls from 1.25 billion to 1.16 billion. So here's the original condition. There's the upward sloping supply curve, as we noted, and the original price is going to be equal to 30 cents. So this green shaded area in here is going to be the producer surplus. Remember, producer surplus is the area bounded by price and the supply curve. So this triangle that's created is the producer surplus. Now we noted that the price fell to 21 cents, and this caused the sales to fall to 1.16 billion. So what we want to do is take a look at, here is this bottom triangle here is the new producer surplus. This area in top here, up top, is going to be the lost producer surplus, and we want to take a look at what that is. So in order to measure that, we're going to break this into two separate components, this rectangle here and this triangle here. Calculate these each separately, and we can add them together to see the dollar value of producer surplus that disappears because of the fact that the price fell from 30 cents per stem to 21 cents per stem. So let's calculate the rectangle first. That's just base times height. So it's 1.16 billion times 30 cents minus 21 cents. So 1.16 billion multiplied by 9 cents gives us $104.4 million of producer surplus. So this rectangle here represents $104.4 million worth of producer surplus that no longer exists. Now we have to calculate this triangle to the right here. And since, if you remember that the formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times the height. So we have 1/2 times 30 cents minus 21 cents multiplied by 1.25 billion minus 1.16 billion. We simplify that out and we get 0.5 multiplied by 0.09 cents and 0.09 billion. Multiplying that through, we get 4.05 million. So this triangle here is worth 4.05 million. This rectangle here is worth 104.4 million. We add those together and we get $8.45 million worth of producer surplus that no longer exists.